Two guarantees moving forward as the old remnants of the Ottoman Empire continue to get more and more rowdy by the day. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Prepper Nation. I, of course, am John. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel and supporting the channel via the links down below. There's some really cool stuff down there. Translators, board games, just stuff that I have that I use that I like. All right, it's all down below. But thank you. And also Tammy R. Thank you for the mean bean this morning. So to answer a couple of questions very quickly that I've been getting over the past week and a half. Number one, no, I'm not in timeout. I'm not in prison. Miss Nation hasn't thrown me into a corner. Although I am in a corner, y'all are very observant. This is a makeshift bunker. Downstairs, retrofitting as I can afford to do it. Don't let what looks like cramped quarters fool you. It is a lot more comfortable down here. I prefer this setup much more so than I did out in the back office. A lot more work and stuff getting done. Second, this is not going to be here much longer. A couple of people have asked about this. I'm in the process. It's sort of a workstation. I'm trying to frame up something to go around a board for anybody that's familiar with Axis and Allies. The Europe and also the Pacific boards are both huge, but they go together. And I would like to get to a point where it just encompasses this entire disk, which is also massive. But I want to frame it out and make it look nice. This way I can play on the fly. So, anyway, let's get into this morning's topic. Two guarantees moving forward because lots of chaos in the Middle East, of course, chaos all over the world right now, but the Middle East is what people are focused on. As a matter of fact, yesterday, toward the live end of the chat, somebody came in, they were upset that we weren't talking about Israel and Gaza, and that we were talking about situational awareness instead. Like there weren't 50 other channels talking about, I guess, Israel and Gaza yesterday, but I thought I would take the day off from the Middle East because I'm not in the Middle East and talk about situational awareness here at home. Thank y'all if you tuned in for that. But this morning we are talking about the Middle East, right? Because it's going to affect us in many ways. So getting to the two guarantees, because America, unpopular comment coming up. Norl, I'm thinking of you, but there are others who leave this comment all the time. We're not done yet. America's not done yet. Fair point. But America is in a death spiral. Now, whether we are able to correct this death spiral before it's too late or we hit the ground and cease to be a country, it's not for me to know. We're living through that history and it's scary, but also exciting because, folks, we are living history right now for the good, better or worse. So I don't think America is over yet, but I think the America you and I and many of us grew up in, that America's long gone. And, it would be naive to think otherwise, in my opinion. So, guarantee number one, and I'll explain both of these guarantees moving forward. Okay. Um, the pro Palestinian crowd, um, they're going to continue to get more and more rowdy, and you're going to see them in a lot more areas. We just saw a few days ago. This took place in Russia, but the pro-Palestinian crowd, they basically took over an airport, and they were looking for anybody that was Jewish. They wanted to punish them because they're not able to strike out at the government that's running Israel right now, Netanyahu and company. Um, Many disturbances and things across this country. But yesterday, if you're on our Facebook page, somebody posted a video of Chicago and the chaos that is continues to ensue in Chicago. It's no longer street gangs that are doing this. It's this pro-Palestinian crowd. It almost feels like, and I don't know this for a fact, okay, but it feels like many of your Antifas have traded in that Russian sickle and these signs that say glory to the motherland and all of this stuff. Um, and they've traded this stuff in for Palestinian flags. And it seems like the same kind of chaos that we saw during the last presidential election cycle. And there, thereafter, we saw this prior to the pandemic. Cities and cores of the cities being shut down. The one There were so many, but the one that stands out in my mind is Atlanta. I think it was the CNN building actually that came under attack. I mean, these people were trying to get in and harm others. So you're going to continue to see this. And as the war in the Middle East escalates, you're going to continue to see an escalation. These mobs are going to get bigger. They're going to become more violent. Why? Why am I making this prediction? Because in no realm are the people of Gaza going to be able to defeat the military of Israel? Not by themselves, okay? So they're going to lash out in other ways. They're going to try and affect. Now, again, I don't care which side of the fence you're on. I really don't. I'm America first. That's the Middle East. If you're pro-Palestinian, as long as you're not being illegal and violent about it, I could care less, to be honest with you. And the same with the Israel crowd. I just don't enjoy funding wars cross oceans, but I digress. The point is, the folks in Gaza right now, they're not going to be able to defeat the invasion that we're seeing, the boots on the ground by Israel. So supporters of that, supporters of Gaza and the Palestinian people who are abroad, they don't seem like they're in a big hurry to get back to Gaza and defend Gaza, but they sure are quick to cause a lot of chaos with Palestinian flags and things. So you're going to see that. And then there were several instances, universities and things. But there was one, there's one right now, I believe it's Columbia University. It's an Ivy League school where there were actual death threats made against Jewish students. And it almost feels like we've been down this road before. In the late 1930s, early to mid 1940s, it almost feels like the same demographic of people were targeted um, by evil back then, and you've got to question it. I think you have to question it. You can support. I know the history of that region. Again, it used to be the Ottoman Empire. Um, they were basically forced to allow a Jewish population to settle there. They were told, the folks in Gaza, the Palestinians, they were told this is not going to affect you. We're just going to settle them here, and then that spread. So I get the history, and I get the back and forth. They both think that the region belongs to them. Okay, I'm talking about the targeting of Jewish people around the world. That's not okay for me. To single anybody out because they look a certain way or they have a certain religious belief, to me, that is not okay. And that is a telltale sign that you are a terrorist when you're willing to do that. Or an extremist. And I'm sorry, but I'm not that guy. I don't believe targeting a student randomly at Columbia University is the way to pay Netanyahu back. You understand what I'm saying? But we're going to continue to see it. It's going to continue to ramp up. And a lot of people are going to try to, they're going to side with the Palestinians They're going to side with the people of Gaza, and they're actually going to convince themselves that violence against Jewish people in other areas of the world is okay, that it's justified. And again, we saw this before with the Nazi Party, so it's not the first time. The first time was inexcusable. Now it's just beyond that because you've got historical context to pull from. It's happened before. At some point, you got to realize you're that guy if you're on the wrong side of the fence. The second guarantee, other nations will eventually attack Israel. I think Iran is going to be the one. Um, Turkey has also made some questionable comments. Egypt is there as well. But again, getting back to it for a second, the Palestinians in that region are going to cease to exist if somebody doesn't step in. Now, although I'm not okay with hitting out at Jewish people in other regions of the world, I'm also not sitting here saying I'm totally okay with what Netanyahu is doing. Okay, I get the outrage. Um, Israel is like, we've got to go after military targets, even if they're hiding in schools filled with children. To me, I don't think that's okay. I think you need to go in boots on the ground. You need to go in physically and you need to get the terrorists, not level the entire building full of innocent people. So I see that side of the argument as well. And several other smaller countries in the Middle East do too. And eventually, one of them, if not a coalition of them, they're going to have to step up and they're going to have to face Israel if the Palestinians are going to continue to exist. It's the only way. And as this happens, this is going to create a vacuum effect in the Middle East. Not the first time that we've seen this vacuum effect, but as another belligerent enters the war, I mean, honestly, World War One began in a similar fashion. You know what I mean? And you just begin to get sucked in because of alliances or because you think politically it's going to benefit you in some way. And before you know it, your country is involved in this war. And the problem is once you're sucked into this vacuum war, it's really, really hard to get out because you're committed at that point. Yes, war in the Middle East is going to intensify. Now, it's still taking place in Ukraine, still taking place in Europe. It's probably at some point, in my opinion, going to take place in Taiwan and that whole region of the world as well. North and South Korea, they're not exactly getting along, but right now, the Middle East, that area is a powder keg. Um, I'm going to make a strange analogy, but it's gonna make sense, I think, especially if you've seen the movie, and that's Aliens, Alien Part 2. Excellent movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch the freaking thing, by the way. But I digress. The point is, the first real fight scene in that movie, the Marines are deployed inside, and then they get comms, and they're being instructed, they're being ordered not to use live ammunition because, there's some kind of reactor or something in there. And the least little bit, the entire powder keg goes off, so to speak. It's the same thing in the Middle East. The wrong person, meaning the wrong country, gets involved, the wrong shots are fired, the entire thing explodes and becomes something to which we've never seen before. But violence will also escalate here in the United States. This is not just going to be something that we watch on the nightly news and we're like, man, I hate it for the people in the Middle East. Again, it's going to affect, guarantee you, it's going to affect things here in the United States, not only with shortages and prices and things that in itself is going to be bad enough, but a lot of, again, your pro Palestinian supporters, people are, this comment came in yesterday and it's a really good comment. People are angry right now. They're angry about so many different things. And when you get into the Palestinians versus the Israelis, now you've got religion in there as well. And it's just these people are already so divided, and their supporters are already so divided. and everybody's already so upset about so many different things, violence comes easy from that point on. And your basic we were just talking about it yesterday, your basic shopping trips become very dangerous, or they have the potential to be very dangerous. In the stores now, in sporting events, going in, coming out, your everyday life can become dangerous. The moment you step off of your property, if you have private property, good for you, minus the taxes. They suck. I get it, but good for you. The moment you step off, though, you have to understand you might be walking into a war zone a year from now, if not already. I cannot imagine being in a Chicago right now, in a Portland right now. Dearborn, Michigan, I hear is really, really bad right now because of this war. Even in rural America, as we were discussing yesterday, things are changing so rapidly and things are deteriorating so fast that we in rural America are seeing things not only that we've never seen before, that I never thought would be possible to see in rural America. These were city problems just a handful of years ago. And now the cities have gotten much worse. And now rural America is dealing with city issues from just a few years ago. And I guess, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, folks, if your plan is to run and hide, you are running out of places to hide. This is starting to touch everywhere United States at this point. There ain't exactly a million Martha's Vineyards out here that you can hide in. You know what I mean? This cannot be the plan. It seems like this has been the plan for the last 20 years, since September 11th. Everybody be nice. E- Even with people that hate you, you grab their hand, you sing kumbaya. Enough hand holding is going to lead to this huge love fest here in the United States in which everybody's going to get along. And the opposite has happened. The love fest just ain't working, right? So now what? Do you continue to look away? We're reaching a point where you can't deny there's a problem anymore. And we're reaching a point where there's only so many places you got left to go here in the United States. Eventually, you're going to have to face this issue. You're going to have to face facts with, the idea that there's so many people here now that hate this country. That, again, I'm sorry for the crowd, that's America's not dead yet. The America that we know and love is gone. Um, that's not a defeatist talking. This can still be the United States of America. It can actually be made better, in fact, but it's going to take people standing up and facing this and not running and cowering anymore, not being politically correct anymore. Hopefully, this has made sense to a few of you out there. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the replacement theory and why it's already too late. Just saying. Y'all take care and God bless.